It's March Madness with a Minnesota twist. Number 1, UConn conquered Stanford.
Walters. They are dominating inside.
And Pat Summitt's Tennessee Volunteers top Georgia.
Underneath. McCray, the strong cut in Tennessee.
Today, they're at the end of the road to a national championship. Right here at the Target Center.
WCCO Television Sports presents the Women's Final Four Championship Sunday. Sponsored by your local GMC truck dealers who offer the strength of experience. By TCF Bank, the one bank open long after the others have closed. And by the new Dodge. The more things change, the more things look like the new Dodge. And now, here's your host, Mark Rosen.
And good morning. Well, it's only fitting that Connecticut and Tennessee are playing for the national title this afternoon. It is a marquee matchup with the unbeaten UConn Huskies trying to beat the three-time NCAA champion Tennessee Lady Vols. Connecticut beat them earlier this year at UConn 77-66. Guard Jen Rosati was the key, scoring 17 for the Huskies. Scalpers, in fact, got $250 apiece for tickets to that one. The rematch is on a neutral court today at the Target Center. And the next UConn celebration would be for an unbeaten season. We have an exciting half hour planned for you this morning. Joining me today are my colleagues Cindy Hilger live at the Hyatt Regency Hotel and Ralph John Fritz at the Target Center. Let's begin with Cindy at the Hyatt. And Cindy, this has been an exciting week.
You know, Mark, I am at the Hyatt for a good reason. There's going to be an awards banquet here for the coaches in just a half an hour. And then in a couple of hours, we are going to find out who is the top women's basketball team in the country. Will it be the unbeaten Connecticut Huskies or the talented Lady Vols from Tennessee? Tennessee has a strong inside game, which is led by a couple of seniors. Forward Nikki McCray uses her quickness to get to the basket against bigger players, and center Dana Johnson uses her muscle. Both average 15 points a game. This team, though, also has speed. Point guard Michelle Marciniak was all over the place yesterday, even diving into the stands for a couple of saves. And Mark, it could be her passing and harassing that could be the key to this game against UConn star guard Jen Rosati. And a quick note about Marciniak, Mark, she plays, Michael Jordan is her all-time favorite, so she plays with a rolled-up picture of Michael Jordan in her sock, and she's hoping that's going to do her some good this afternoon.
Oh, I think that and then some. It should be a great matchup for both in the front line and in the back court. Cindy, we'll get back to you in a few minutes. Tennessee does face a tough task this afternoon in the Connecticut Huskies. They are undefeated this season in 33 games. That's a lot of pressure. They have the NCAA Player of the Year and the National Coach of the Year. Ralph John Fritz joins me from the Target Center with the scouting report, and RJ, I sat behind them yesterday. They go full throttle for the entire game. What can we expect from them this afternoon, you think?
Well, Mark, I think this team, the Huskies, really do have a lot, including, as you said, an undefeated season. They completely demolished Stanford yesterday by a whopping 27 points. That's almost unheard of, especially in semifinal play. This team is a powerful front line led by their Player of the Year forward, Rebecca Lobo. She is 6'4". She's a senior who averages 17 a game. It is said that great players make those around them better players. Well, that's the case here. Lobo has taken a sophomore, Kara Walters, under her wing, and right now Walters, who is a 6'7" center with Kevin McHale-like shoulders, contributes 15 a game, and she doubled that yesterday with 31 points. UConn likes to push the ball. Their 5'5" guard, Jennifer Rosati, isn't afraid to mix it up. She can also shoot it up. She averages a dozen a game. So I think we have just about everything here with a couple of number 1 and 2 teams. We really couldn't ask for anything more in the championship game this afternoon, Mark.
And if you talk to the players in both teams, there's no question which team they want to play today. They got each other, and that's going to be decided this afternoon at 2:45. Thanks, RJ. We'll be talking with you again later this half hour as well. Well, today's championship game is a culmination of a week-long celebration of women's basketball here in the Twin Cities. You couldn't help but get caught up in all the excitement. And as Amy Marcellus tells us, it's a dream realized by women everywhere.
It is absolutely everything we have planned and dreamed of.
In a sport that has suffered a nightmare of neglect, women's basketball has finally achieved a hoop full of dreams. TV contracts, sellouts, and successful Final Fours.
There's no question that I think young girls and young women are being exposed to athletics at an earlier age. You've got more fathers having daughters, brothers are getting involved with their sisters. That makes a difference in the attitude of this country today.
I, Arnie H. Carlson, Governor of the state of Minnesota, do hereby proclaim March 27th through April 2nd, 1995 to be NCAA Women's Final Four Week.
Kind of bummed it's in town, but we can't see it because all the tickets have been sold out for so long.
The organizers of this Final Four made it a fast-breaking, week-long celebration of women's basketball, where the battle of the sexes is determined on the court.
Nothing easy, believe me. I mean, they had the height, they had the shooting. Wasn't nothing we can do.
Mayor Sharon Sales Belton.
It's been such an extraordinary week, political rhetoric was benched in favor of the mayoral shootout.
I promised him that I'd trip him a couple of times.
I think we do better in a debate rather than playing hoops over here.
Let's give them all a hand, please, ladies and gentlemen.
The Twin Cities will capitalize on the Final Four, possibly generating as much as $20 million in business. But the business at hand is bank shots, not big bucks. In the end, hoops, not hoopla, is all that really counts. What a week it's been.
Von DeWard blocked. Henderson blocked it.
And the best is yet to come this afternoon. When we come back, Michelle Tafoya introduces us to 5 of the most influential people in women's basketball. Also, a special story about young girls and their sports heroes, a couple of local women who make an impact on and off the court. Don't go away.
Want to make a Consumer's Digest Best Buy an even better buy? Well, right now, we're offering $1,000 cash back on every Dodge Caravan. Not just some, every one. Add in up to $1,100 in package value discounts, and you can take up to $2,100 off America's best-selling minivan. Or choose 4.9 financing instead. So hurry to the Dodge National Best Buy sale. Right now, current Chrysler Corporation minivan owners get an additional $500 cash back.
All year long, you struggle to get ahead. Then comes April 15th. Tax loans from TCF. Money to get things rolling again.
People want a truck with a lot of power.
Comfortable seating. It's got a lot of room.
Power and comfort. Best of both worlds.
Let me guess. On the lot, the choices will be black or black.
Do I have to get out now?
Taking the defense off the ball.
Here's the shot, Charlotte Smith.
Yeah, what a defining moment last year in women's basketball. With one shot, Charlotte Smith won a national title for North Carolina and earned national attention for women's basketball. It happened at last year's Final Four, but Smith kept her name in the headlines this season and made Michelle Tafoya's list of the 5 most influential people she covered this year for CBS Sports.
You can't look at women's basketball this year and not focus on UConn coach Gino Auriemma, the National Women's Coach of the Year. One of 2 men coaching in the women's Final Four, Auriemma preaches beating the game rather than beating the opponent. His philosophy led the Huskies into the Final Four as the only unbeaten Division I team in the nation. Auriemma has had the luxury of an extremely talented roster, headlined by the Naismith College Basketball Player of the Year, Rebecca Lobo. Lobo, a 6'4" senior, plays forward and center for the Huskies and has averaged better than 17 points, 10 boards, and 3.5 block shots per game. Contending with Lobo for Player of the Year honors was someone you won't see in the Final Four, but the nation saw her make history last year.
Here's the shot, Charlotte Smith.
North Carolina's Charlotte Smith put up the shot that arguably changed women's basketball forever when she launched a buzzer beater to win the national championship for the Tar Heels. This year, Smith recorded the first slam dunk in a women's game in 10 years. She and Lobo are considered locks for the 1996 Women's Olympic basketball team. Then there's Stanford freshman Kristen Fokel, who's considered a lock for both the Olympic basketball and volleyball teams. She'll have her choice. In December, Fokel led the Cardinal to the NCAA volleyball title and was the only freshman to make the All-America volleyball team. Her nickname is 9 for 9, as the last 9 teams she has played on have been state or national champs. She hopes to become 10 for 10. Finally, a figure who will become increasingly important as the Women's Basketball Coaches Association takes on the pay equity battle. Kansas women's coach Marion Washington is no ordinary coach. She is one of the first women in the country to have achieved pay equity, a huge accomplishment given that her male counterpart at Kansas is Roy Williams. And while Washington doesn't expect some of the other financial perks that will always come to the more visible men's coaches, like a shoe contract or TV show, she does expect continued growth for women of all colors in the game of basketball.
There needs to be more opportunities for a lot of people. But as long as I see that there's steady improvement and there's greater opportunities, then I'm happy.
And those are just a few of the interesting people Michelle met while covering women's hoops for CBS this year. Young women playing college basketball these days find they have a different kind of power off the court. Cindy Hilger is back with a story about a couple of heroes quietly influencing lives away from the court. Cindy?
It's a great story, Mark. You can't argue that what big-name athletes mean to little boys. Many kids, many boys hope to grow up and be just like them, but you know, it's very different for little girls. But this week, we learned how 2 hometown heroes are making a dramatic impact on the girls who are growing up right behind them. Watch this story.
I wish I could get that attitude back.
Lots of little boys dream of making it to the NBA. That's not surprising since they see men like Isaiah Thomas become superstar millionaires. But for little girls, there is no NBA, so they dream of other things.
But I was thinking about like in the medical field, somewhere around there, pediatrician or something.
Well, I kind of want to be a news reporter.
For a few days this week, it's the girls' turn to come face-to-face with their superstars. Minneapolis natives Tracy Henderson and Brandi Decker are the heroes here. Playing college basketball for Georgia is the equivalent of the NBA for their young admirers.
Well, it means that, you know, you can do anything that you want to. It doesn't matter how old you are, what color you are, anything. Just if you have the mind to go where you want to go and do what you want to do, you can do it.
Tracy takes her job as a role model very seriously. She says she makes sure she sends positive messages to girls whenever she can.
Like I said, stay away from the drugs and all that stuff because it doesn't get you nowhere. It just drags you down. Listen to your parents because they won't tell you wrong.
I'm very proud of both of these women, and I'm proud.
On Friday, Tracy and Brandi went back to their North Minneapolis neighborhood. Friends and family took turns recalling special memories of the 2 women. In the middle of the crowd was an 11-year-old girl who had a special memory of her own.
I remember I used to want to play her so bad, and I remember every time I shoot, she'd just knock it out the air. I mean, I didn't like it then, but it's made me a lot better player, and I thank her for it.
The autographs Tracy and Brandi give may not be worth a lot of money, but the lessons they teach to little girls are invaluable.
Like, when you need some motivation, you can maybe look at what they've done, and it can help you motivate yourself to do something.
Well, joining me now is a former college player, and she's currently coach at Dayton of Ohio, Clemette Haskins. Thanks for joining us this morning. When we watch a piece like that and we see the adulation these young girls have for these older, the college players now, it hasn't always been like that, has it?
No, it hadn't, and that's probably the most inspirational thing, to see that young girls can look up to Tracy Henderson's and Rebecca Lobos and say, that's my hero, and that's so important. I think that's just one small thing to show the growth of women's basketball in the past 10 years.
Now, I know 9 years ago as a junior with Western Kentucky, you were at this very tournament. Talk a little bit about what the tournament was like then and how it's changed over the past 9 years.
Well, certainly, you know, any goal for a young girl is playing college basketball is to get to the Final Four, and we were fortunate enough to do that. And, you know, there was a lot of people there and there's a lot of hype, but certainly almost 10 years later, the excitement, the media attention, the sellout crowds are things that are the biggest change, but it's just great to see that a lot of the communities have embraced women's basketball.
How much significance does today's game against UConn and Tennessee have in terms of just bringing more people to the table? Does one game really have a big impact?
Well, it's going to be hard to top last year's buzzer beater, but you know, unfortunately, it's so much pressure on the semifinal game and final game to be great games because we don't have enough games on television, and hopefully next year we'll get more games on TV, so there's not so much pressure on these 3 games that they have to be great games. But I think today will be a barn burner.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah.
Well, I know you just finished up your first year at Dayton. I hope you have continued success there, and thanks for joining us, Clemette Haskins. Well, it hasn't been all fun and games here in Minneapolis for the NCAA Women's Final Four. The coaches used this week to hold its annual coaches convention. And when we come right back, the Gophers women's basketball coach, Linda Hill-MacDonald, is going to join us. First, though, a fun fact about Clemette's dad and the Gophers head basketball coach on the men's side.
Want to make a Consumer's Digest Best Buy an even better buy? Well, right now, we're offering $1,000 cash back on every Dodge Caravan. Not just some, every one. Add in up to $1,100 in package value discounts, and you can take up to $2,100 off America's best-selling minivan. Or choose 4.9 financing instead. So hurry to the Dodge National Best Buy sale. Right now, current Chrysler Corporation minivan owners get an additional $500 cash back.
All year long, you struggle to get ahead. Then comes April 15th. Tax loans from TCF. Money to get things rolling again.
Set that a little bit there. We'll check on once more. That one's fine now. Why don't you go ahead and check the gaps on the rest of the plugs, and we'll install them in just a minute. Sarah and I are checking spark plug gaps. That way, when we install them, we'll make sure the car's going to run great. Now, you can save on Champion spark plugs and a lot more during Champion Auto Store's Spring Car Care Savings Sale. It's going on right now at participating Champion Auto Stores. Everything you need at special sale prices. Champion Auto Stores. Check us out.
Some say Tennessee coach Pat Summitt is good enough to coach any team in the country. That includes a lot of men's teams. In fact, she was recently considered a legitimate candidate to take over the men's team at Tennessee. But the women's basketball coaches don't feel they always get that much respect. Amid the fun and games of the Final Four, the coaches held their annual convention and held court on a couple of issues, gender and pay equity. Most visible, they organized a show of support for the sports equality law, Title IX, during yesterday's games. Earlier this week, Penn State coach Renee Portland emphasized the importance of Title IX.
So this issue is something that even Mr. Clinton might have to deal with if Chelsea decides to be in sport and doesn't have the same opportunity that some kid down the street or a boy next door or a cousin doesn't have.
Gopher coach Linda Hill-MacDonald is the incoming president of the Women's Basketball Coaches Association. I know we haven't officially taken over the reins yet, but top on your list and your counterparts is the pay equity issue. Is that still right there along with Title IX?
Well, I think Title IX is the key issue for us. It encompasses a lot of things, but particularly opportunities for girls and women in sport.
Do you feel that the courts are going to have to handle this more than the universities themselves? You want to keep it out of the courtrooms?
Oh, absolutely. We want to keep it out of the courtrooms. And I think the Brown decision this past week is a real critical point for us and maybe a turning point for us. But I hope that we don't see a lot more court cases. There are too many things going to court these days. We would have a lot more to talk about, but let's specifically talk about the game today because we have the best matchup you could possibly ask for. What are your expectations for this afternoon? I think it's going to be a wonderful day of basketball. The teams are coached by some of the best coaches in the nation, and they certainly have the finest players in the nation. So I'm just excited about this brand of basketball being here in Minneapolis, and for all of our young viewers who have the opportunity to see these role models and know what they can expect to become if they put their minds to it.
I think you just hit the nail on the head as well because they really have reached out and touched a lot of people in the Twin Cities this week.
They sure have.
Linda Hill-MacDonald, thanks so much for stopping by.
You're welcome, Mark.
We'll see you
it's good to be here.
A bit later today as well. Well, right now, let's go back out to R.J. Fritz at the Target Center. Ralph, this has turned out to be a huge media event. More than 200 credentials were issued. In fact, that's more than I think played in front of REM's first game, he said, at Connecticut. That's more fans than he had out there.
You're right, Mark, and one of those media credentials was handed out to a young lady that I spoke with just moments ago. She was really a true pioneer for women in women's basketball. Her name is Ann Myers, the former All-American, of course, has seen many changes over the years, and I spoke with Ann just moments ago.
Well, what about this tournament this afternoon? I suppose you really couldn't pick a favorite, huh?
Well, not at all. I'm looking for a good game, especially as a broadcaster. That's what you're always looking for. But the fact that you have number 1 and number 2 playing against each other, Connecticut and Tennessee, I think that's a big plus.
I'm sure you're asked all the time about the growth of this sport. Has to be fantastic from what you've seen in the past 14 years.
Well, no question. I think a lot of it has to do with the media exposure. I think more fathers are getting involved with their daughters and more husbands with their wives, and mothers are having kids that they have the opportunity to compete in sports. And I think when you have that attitude change and more acceptance of the sports, I think that that's a big plus. Obviously, with the attendance that they've had in the past few years and the schools, the way they're drawing, it's just tremendous.
I don't know if one complements the other, but I mean, the coaching has improved, and that, of course, means the players are going to improve.
Well, I think the opportunities at a very young age that girls are getting the better coaching at elementary school, junior high, high school, AAUs, and there's just so many more opportunities, and it also is enabling the women to coach also. Pat Summitt's been in the business 21 years at Tennessee, and she's proven what she's done, and so many other women coaches at the major Division I ranks, and not to mention you go down the list, Division II, Division III, NAIA, JUCO, high school, so forth, but also the men that are involved in the game, and I think that's been a big plus, and it's nice to see that a lot of players, once they graduate, get back into the coaching ranks also.
Ann Myers, thanks for visiting with us.
Thanks, John.
Former All-American Ann Myers, and of course CBS color commentator here with the Final Four. Well, another All-American of years gone by, in his own mind that is, Don Shelby with some commentary coming right up, so stay with us.
All year long, you struggle to get ahead. Then comes April 15th. Tax loans from TCF. Money to get things rolling again.
What you have to do is put a little chrome polish on here, rub it in a little bit, let it dry, and polish it back off. Takes off all that other paint. Why don't you go ahead and keep on doing that. Sarah and I are just finishing up the detail work on this beauty. And every product we got at Champion Auto Stores is on sale right now. All these products, just 99 cents each. And you can save on what you need too during our Spring Car Care Savings Sale. It's going on at participating Champion Auto Stores. Right products at guaranteed right prices. Check us out.
If you can't take it with you, why have a truck?
You want to know something's going to be there when you step on the gas.
Who wants to spend money on gas?
I see a lot of options here, but what about on the lot?
I wouldn't mind being seen in this.
Well, today is a big day for us here at CBS. A full day of programming for hoop lovers. Up next at 11 o'clock is the RCA Player of the Year presentation. Then at 11:30 you can see the best high school basketball players in the country in the annual McDonald's High School All-Star Game. And of course at 2:30 the women's NCAA championship game between the University of Connecticut and Tennessee. Well, let's go back out to Cindy Hilger one last time at the Hyatt Regency with a special presentation of sorts. Cindy.
Well, Mark, perhaps the best-known local supporter of girls basketball and women's basketball is our friend, our colleague, Don Shelby. His interest was piqued especially after he became the father of 3 daughters. So he offered to give us his insights and analysis on women's basketball, and we accepted.
I became interested in women's basketball about the same time my oldest daughter decided she wanted to play. So I became a supporter of women's basketball because I'm a dad of daughters, just a dad, whose kids wanted to play basketball. But somewhere along the line, I did get defensive. Tired of hearing has-been club jocks, talk radio show hosts, newspaper sports columnists, others deride women's basketball. That did get to me. Because whether they knew it or not, those people who put down women's basketball were by extension putting down my children, putting down all of our daughters, whether they played basketball or not. So I began to develop some arguments for those people who style themselves basketball fans but dislike the way women play the game. First, no one is asking you to like women's basketball, but do me a favor. Stop calling yourself a basketball fan. Women play the same game that men do. The game is basketball. If you're a basketball fan, you'll enjoy watching sixth graders play it, people in wheelchairs play it, high school boys and girls play it, college, pros, an uncle and neighbor, two guys you don't even know playing in the backyard. You'll like that if you're a basketball fan, because a basketball fan loves basketball, period. Most of the people who disdain women's basketball aren't really basketball fans at all. In fact, I think they're fans of men. More specifically, fans of men who can dunk and taunt and grimace and rattle the rim and shatter backboards. Now that, they say, is basketball. No, it's not. Basketball has become that, unfortunately. Basketball used to be a sport of finesse, of passing, of great defense, intelligent shot selection, a team game. In other words, the way the game is still played by the women and certain wonderful men's teams. I, for one, don't care if the women ever become dunk artists, because then the game will deteriorate for them just as it has for the pros. There will be a professional league, and the women's stars will make millions. They will become egomaniacs. They will miss practices and flights. They will make shoe commercials and more money. And the game will deteriorate into 10 women simultaneously trying to demonstrate what a fabulous individual talent they are. No, if you really are a basketball fan, you'll not just like the women's game, you will love it, because it's pure basketball. And a final note to those non-hooping, talk show hosting, column writing critics of the women's ability to play the game. I know this doesn't advance the argument any, but I just want to say it. You really think you could beat Rebecca Lobo or Cheryl Swoops one-on-one, big boy? Can I watch? I'm Don Shelby.
Sometimes it's hard to say he's right, but he's right, don't you think, Mark?
I couldn't agree with him more. I got my experience earlier this week. I know how that feels.
Yeah.
Well, we're looking forward to a very exciting day. Both teams, Tennessee and Connecticut, playing their best basketball. And this afternoon, we will see the two best front lines in women's basketball and the two best teams. Hope you can catch it all, the action this afternoon at 2:45 right here on Channel 4. Thanks for joining us, and have a good day.
This WCCO television sports special, the Women's Final Four Championship Sunday, was sponsored by the new Dodge. The more things change, the more things look like the new Dodge. By TCF Bank, the one bank open long after the others have closed. And by your local GMC truck dealers, who offer the strength of experience.